Jake Morrison walked into the biggest room he had ever seen. The walls went up so high that he could not see the top. Lights floated in the air without any wires or poles holding them up. Strange sounds filled the air as different alien races talked to each other in languages that hurt his ears. He wore his best uniform but still felt small. Next to him walked Dr. Lisa Campbell. She carried a tablet with all the information about humans that they would present today. Both of them had spent 3 years preparing for this moment. The Galactic Council had 12 different alien races. Each race looked completely different from humans. The Zephyrians looked like walking crystals that made ringing sounds when they moved. The massive Korvac had thick gray skin and tusks that curved from their mouths. The Mindari had big eyes and thin bodies. They never spoke out loud because they could talk with their minds. Jake and Lisa reached the center of the room. A platform rose from the floor and lifted them up so all the aliens could see them better. Jake tried to stand tall and look confident, but his hands shook a little. The lead assessor was an Altruian. He had 4 arms and stood almost 10 feet tall. His skin was blue and his eyes were completely black. When he spoke, his voice echoed through the room like thunder. "We are here today to review the application of a new species," the Altruian said. "They call themselves humans. They come from a planet called Earth in a very small solar system." Jake stepped forward. "Thank you for giving us this chance. Humans have worked hard to reach the stars. We want to join the galaxy and help make it better." Some of the aliens made sounds that might have been laughing. The Korvac general slammed his fist on his table. "Look at them. They are so small and weak. What could they possibly offer us?" The Altruian held up one of his 4 hands. "We will review their file now." He picked up a device that projected images in the air. Species name, human. Home planet, Earth. Population, 8 billion individuals. Pictures of Earth appeared floating above their heads. Jake felt proud seeing his home planet from space. The blue oceans and white clouds looked beautiful against the black of space. Physical strength assessment, the Altruian continued. Humans can lift approximately their own body weight. This places them in the bottom 5% of all known species. They have no natural armor, claws, or defensive abilities. More images showed humans next to other alien races. Jake winced as he saw how small and fragile humans looked compared to the others. Technological advancement level, the alien assessor went on. Humans have only recently achieved faster-than-light travel. Their weapons are primitive chemical explosives and basic energy weapons. They have no shield technology or advanced materials. Jake wanted to speak up, but Lisa put her hand on his arm. She whispered, "Let them finish first." "Psychic abilities," the Altruian said. "Humans show no evidence of telepathy, telekinesis, or any mental powers. They cannot communicate without speaking or using basic technology." The Mindari in the room made a sound like wind through leaves. Jake guessed they were commenting on how limited humans were without mind powers. Military capability assessment, the assessor continued. Human weapons are designed for fighting other humans on their home planet. They have no experience with galactic warfare. Their largest ships carry only basic weapons and minimal shielding. Videos played showing human military equipment, tanks, jets, and ships that looked like toys compared to what Jake had seen in the alien docking bays. Lifespan analysis, the Altruian said. Humans live an average of 80 Earth years. This is extremely short compared to most galactic species. They will not have time to gain significant experience or wisdom. Jake felt his chest tighten. Everything the alien said was true, but it made humans sound completely useless. The Altruian put down his device and looked directly at Jake and Lisa. "Based on our complete assessment, humans are classified as an Omega-tier species." The room erupted in alien sounds. Some species made clicking noises. Others roared or hummed. Jake did not need to understand their languages to know they were not impressed. "What does Omega-tier mean?" Lisa asked in a clear voice that cut through the noise. The Altruian's black eyes showed no emotion. "Omega-tier is the lowest classification. It means your species poses no threat to galactic stability. You may participate in basic trade and perform simple labor tasks. You cannot own weapons above level 3. You cannot vote in council decisions. You cannot claim territory beyond your home system." Jake felt anger building in his chest. "We came here in peace. We want to help. We want to learn and contribute. Your intentions are noted," the Altruian said, "but intentions do not change facts. You are weak, primitive, and short-lived. The galaxy has no need for another servant race, but we will allow you to join at the lowest level. The Korvac general stood up. His chair made a loud scraping sound on the floor. At least they know their place now. Better to accept reality than pretend to be something they are not. Lisa stepped forward. Her voice was calm, but Jake could see fire in her eyes. With respect, council members, I think you might be making a mistake. Several aliens made sounds that Jake was sure meant laughter. Mistake? The Altruian asked. Our assessment system has been used for over 10,000 years. It has never been wrong. Maybe, Lisa said, but you are measuring us by your standards. You are looking for strength, long life, and psychic powers. What if those are not the most important things? The crystal-like Zephyrian made a ringing sound. What else could possibly matter, weak creature? Lisa smiled. Jake had seen that smile before when she was about to prove someone wrong in a scientific debate. Adaptation, she said. Innovation. The ability to find solutions when there seems to be no way forward. Humans may not be strong, but we are survivors. We may not live long, but we make every year count. We may not have psychic powers, but we work together better than any species I have seen here today. The room fell quiet for a moment. Then the Altruian spoke again. Your passion is admirable, Dr. Campbell. But passion does not change biological reality. The assessment stands. Welcome to the galaxy, humans. Try not to embarrass yourselves. As Jake and Lisa left the great chamber, Jake noticed something the aliens had missed. Every human in their small delegation had the same look on their face. It was not defeat or sadness. It was determination mixed with anger. The aliens had just made their first mistake about humans. They thought calling them weak would make them give up. Instead, they had just given 8 billion humans something to prove. Captain Alex Turner stood on the bridge of the USS Defiance and looked out at the stars. 6 months had passed since the Galactic Council had labeled humans as Omega Tier, 6 months of being treated like servants and told they were too weak to matter. The USS Defiance was not much to look at. The ship was small compared to the massive vessels that other alien races flew. Human engineers had built it using parts they could buy or trade for. The hull was patched in several places. The engines made strange noises, but it was theirs, and it could travel between stars. Captain, Lieutenant Ben Hayes called from his station. I am picking up a distress signal. Alex turned from the viewport. Where is it coming from? Ben checked his instruments. About 2 light minutes away. It is a Mindari transport ship. They are asking for help. Alex knew about the Mindari. They were one of the peaceful races in the galaxy. They never fought wars or carried weapons on their ships. Most other species left them alone because they were not a threat to anyone. Put the signal on screen, Alex ordered. The main view screen flickered to life. It showed a Mindari ship that was badly damaged. Parts of the hull were torn open. Fires burned inside the ship. Alex could see small figures moving around inside, trying to fix the damage. This is the Mindari vessel Peaceful Dawn. A voice spoke directly into their minds. The Mindari did not use radios like humans did. They spoke with telepathy. We are under attack. Please help us. Who is attacking you? Alex asked out loud. Before the Mindari could answer, another ship appeared on the screen. This one was huge and dark gray. Alex recognized it immediately as a Korvac dreadnought. The ship was at least 10 times bigger than the USS Defiance and carried enough weapons to destroy a small moon. Captain, Chief Officer Rachel Stone said from her station. The Korvac ship is firing on the Mindari again. Alex watched as bright beams of energy shot from the dreadnought and hit the transport ship. More sections of the Mindari vessel exploded. He could see beings floating in space where the hull had been torn open. Ben, open a channel to the Korvac ship, Alex ordered. Sir, Rachel said quietly. Maybe we should think about this. That is a Korvac dreadnought. They have over 1,000 warriors on board and enough firepower to vaporize us. Alex knew she was right. The smart thing to do would be to leave. Humans were Omega Tier. They were supposed to stay out of the way and let stronger species handle galactic problems. But as he watched more Mindari die, he found he did not care what the smart thing to do was. Channel open, Captain, Ben reported. The screen changed to show the bridge of the Korvac ship. The alien captain was huge even by Korvac standards. Scars covered his gray face. His tusks were painted with red symbols that probably meant he had killed many enemies in battle. Human vessel, the Korvac captain said in a voice like grinding rocks. You are in restricted space. Leave immediately or I will destroy you after I finish with these peace-loving fools. Alex looked at his crew. There were 37 humans on the USS Defiance. Most of them were young and had never been in a real fight. Their ship had basic weapons that were designed for fighting other human ships, not massive alien dreadnoughts. "Negative, Korvac vessel," Alex said calmly. "Stop your attack on the Mindari ship immediately and withdraw from this area." The Korvac captain stared at Alex for a long moment. Then he threw back his head and roared with laughter. Other Korvac warriors on the bridge joined in. The sound was so loud it made the speakers on the USS Defiance crackle. "You amuse me, tiny human," the captain said when he stopped laughing. "Very well. You may watch as I finish destroying this transport. Then I will show you why your species was designated Omega Tier. It will be educational." The channel closed. Alex turned to his crew. Everyone was looking at him with wide eyes. "Captain," Rachel said, "we cannot possibly fight that ship and win." "You are right," Alex said. "We cannot fight it the way they expect us to fight." He sat down in his captain's chair and leaned forward. "Ben, get me a full scan of that dreadnought. I want to know everything about it. Rachel, plot attack patterns, but make them look random and chaotic. Engineering, I need all power to engines and weapons. Do not worry about shields right now." "Sir," the chief engineer called from his station. "Without shields, one hit from their main guns will destroy us." "Then we will not let them hit us," Alex said. "Ben, open a channel to all hands." Ben nodded and pressed some buttons. A light came on showing that Alex's voice would now go to every part of the ship. "Attention crew," Alex said. "In about 5 minutes we are going to attack a Korvac dreadnought that is 10 times our size. Most species in the galaxy would say this is impossible. They would say we are too weak and too stupid to survive." Alex paused and looked around the bridge. His crew was scared, but they were listening. "But those species do not understand something about humans," Alex continued. "We do not know when to quit. We do not know when something is impossible. And we really do not like bullies." He stood up from his chair. "All stations battle ready. Let us show the galaxy what Omega Tier really means." What happened next would be talked about in military schools across the galaxy for hundreds of years. The USS Defiance attacked the Korvac dreadnought using tactics that no alien species had ever seen before. Instead of flying in straight lines like galactic military doctrine taught, Alex ordered random movements that made no sense. The ship spun and twisted through space in patterns that confused the Korvac gunners. When they fired their massive weapons, the USS Defiance was never where they expected it to be. Human weapons were weak compared to alien technology, but Alex did not try to punch through the dreadnought's heavy armor. Instead, he targeted small parts of the ship that other species never bothered to protect. Sensor arrays, communication dishes, engine exhaust ports, and weapon cooling systems. "Their main guns are overheating," Ben reported. "They cannot fire for at least 3 minutes. Their sensors are down," Rachel added. "They are firing blind now." "Engine room reports they are venting plasma from their port engine," the chief engineer called out. Piece by piece, system by system, the USS Defiance took apart the mighty Korvac dreadnought, not by being stronger but by being smarter, faster, and more determined than anyone thought possible. After 17 minutes of battle, the Korvac ship sent a surrender signal. Alex had Ben put the enemy captain back on screen. The proud warrior now looked confused and angry. "How?" the Korvac captain asked. "How did you defeat us? Your ship is tiny. Your weapons are primitive. You should not have been able to even damage us." Alex smiled. "You made one mistake, Captain. You assumed that because we are weak, we are also stupid. You forgot that sometimes the best way to win a fight is not to fight it the way your enemy expects." The Korvac captain was quiet for a moment. "What do you want from us?" "Let the Mindari go," Alex said. "Leave this system and do not come back. And maybe next time think twice before you attack defenseless ships." As the Korvac dreadnought limped away, Alex received a message from the Mindari transport. "Thank you, brave humans," the voice said in his mind. "We will not forget what you have done for us today. Perhaps the galaxy does not understand your true nature yet, but we do." Alex looked out at the stars again. Somewhere out there, news of this battle was already spreading. The galaxy was about to learn that being labeled Omega Tier did not mean humans would quietly accept their place at the bottom. Admiral Kate Phillips sat in her office at Earth Command and stared at the reports covering her desk. Each one told the same impossible story. Humans were doing things that the galaxy said they could not do. The first report came from the outer colonies. A human cargo ship had fought off 3 pirate vessels using nothing but mining equipment and clever thinking. The pirates had expected an easy target. Instead, they found themselves chased away by a freight captain who turned his ship's loading cranes into weapons. The second report was from the diplomatic corps. Ambassador Carl Henderson had spent 2 weeks on the planet Nexus trying to solve a trade dispute that had been going on for 50 years. 3 different alien species claimed the same asteroid belt. Wars had been fought over it. Treaties had been signed and broken. Carl solved it by suggesting something no one had thought of before. Instead of fighting over who owned the asteroids, why not work together to mine them? Each species was good at different things. The Korvac were strong and could do the heavy work. The Zephyrians had precise tools that could extract rare metals. The Altruians had ships that could transport everything. Within a week, all 3 species were making more money than they ever had fighting over the belt. They called Carl a genius. He just called it common sense. The third report made Kate smile. Dr. Amy Foster had been working on a problem that had stumped the galaxy's best scientists for 300 years. The Zephyrian crystal plague was a disease that slowly turned their crystal bodies into dust. Millions had died from it. The greatest medical minds in the galaxy had given up trying to find a cure. Amy looked at the problem differently. Instead of trying to stop the disease, she asked why it started in the first place. She discovered that the plague was not really a disease at all. It was a reaction to a chemical that the Zephyrians used in their manufacturing process. Stop using that chemical and the plague would disappear. The Zephyrian government had been so grateful that they offered to share their most advanced crystal technology with humans, technology that had been restricted to Alpha-tier species only. "Ma'am," Lieutenant Commander Ryan Torres entered her office with another stack of files. "The reports keep coming in. Captain Steve Parker found a new trade route that cuts travel time between sectors by 30%. Engineer Nicole Adams designed a new type of engine that uses half the fuel of standard drives. And Colonel Jerry Thompson trained a Korvac unit in human tactics. They won their first battle against rebels who had been beating them for months." Kate leaned back in her chair. "How long has it been since the Council classified us as Omega Tier?" 8 months, ma'am. And now?" Ryan looked through his reports. "The Zephyrians are calling us the problem solvers. The Mindari refer to us as the innovative ones. Even the Korvac have a new word for us. It translates roughly to small but dangerous." Kate stood up and walked to her window. Outside, she could see the new ships being built in Earth's orbital shipyards. They were bigger than the USS Defiance, but still small by galactic standards. What made them special was not their size, but their design. Human engineers had learned from every species they met. They took the best ideas from each alien race and combined them in new ways. Korvac armor plating, Zephyrian crystal computers, Altruian energy systems, and Mindari navigation technology. But everything was put together using human engineering principles. The result was ships that were faster, tougher, and more efficient than anything in the galaxy. Other species had better individual technologies, but humans were the first to combine them all together. "Ryan, what do our intelligence reports say about how other species are reacting to us?" Ryan flipped through another file. "It is mixed, ma'am. Some species are impressed and want to work with us. Others are getting nervous. The Helix Consortium issued a statement saying that humans are disrupting traditional galactic order. The Void traders are complaining that our new trade routes are hurting their profits." Kate nodded. She had expected this. For millions of years, the galaxy had worked the same way. Strong species ruled, weak species served. Everyone knew their place and stayed in it. Then humans arrived and started ignoring the rules. Dr. Eric Mason knocked on her office door. Kate had asked him to come because she wanted to hear his analysis of what was happening. Eric was a xenopsychologist, which meant he studied how different alien species thought and behaved. Before first contact, he had been a regular psychologist helping humans understand each other. Now he was trying to help humans understand dozens of different alien minds. "Admiral Phillips," Eric said as he sat down, "I have been thinking about why humans are having such an impact on galactic society." "Go on," Kate said. "Every other species in the galaxy evolved to fill a specific role," Eric explained. "The Korvac became warriors. The Zephyrians became craftsmen. The Mindari became philosophers. Each species got very good at one thing, but they stopped trying to be good at other things." Eric pulled out his tablet and showed Kate some charts. "But humans evolved differently. We had to be good at everything just to survive on Earth. We had to be strong enough to hunt, smart enough to make tools, social enough to work in groups, and adaptable enough to live in different environments. Kate studied the charts. So you are saying that other species became specialists but humans remained generalists? Exactly, Eric said. And now that we are in space, that difference is showing. When the galaxy faces a problem, each species tries to solve it using their specialty. Warriors fight it. Crafters build something to fix it. Philosophers think about it. But humans? Eric smiled. Humans look at each problem and ask what approach will work best. Sometimes that means fighting. Sometimes it means building. Sometimes it means thinking. And sometimes it means combining all three in ways that no one has tried before. Kate was beginning to understand. The galaxy sees this as chaos because it does not fit their organized system. Right, and chaos scares them. For millions of years, they knew how things worked. Strong species stayed strong. Weak species stayed weak. Now humans are proving that strength and weakness might not be permanent conditions. Kate walked back to her desk and picked up one of the reports. It was about a human merchant who had accidentally started a revolution on a planet where the ruling class had oppressed the workers for centuries. The merchant had simply suggested that the workers could organize and demand better treatment. It had never occurred to the oppressed aliens that they could change their situation. Eric, what do you think will happen next? Eric was quiet for a moment. I think we are approaching a turning point, Admiral. The galaxy is going to have to decide what to do about humans. They can either accept that their old ways of thinking about strength and weakness are wrong, or they can try to put us back in our place. And if they choose the second option? Eric looked out the window at the new ships being built. Then I think they are going to discover that they seriously underestimated what Omega Tier means when it gets angry. Kate nodded. She had been thinking the same thing. Reports were coming in from across the galaxy about humans solving impossible problems, making new discoveries, and changing the way things had always been done. The galaxy had called humans weak and expected them to accept that label quietly. Instead, humans had taken it as a challenge. 8 months ago, the name human had meant nothing to most alien species. Now it was being spoken in government chambers, military planning rooms, and scientific laboratories across the galaxy. Some spoke it with respect, others with worry. But everyone was starting to learn that when humans set their minds to something, the word impossible did not seem to apply. Kate picked up another report from her desk. This one was from Captain Alex Turner. The USS Defiance had just helped evacuate an entire planet before a natural disaster destroyed it. The operation had saved 2 million alien lives. The report ended with a note from the planetary governor. We do not understand how such a small ship with such a young crew could accomplish what our own rescue fleets could not. But we are grateful that the universe sent us these remarkable humans. Kate smiled as she filed the report away. The galaxy was learning their name, all right. One impossible deed at a time. Fleet Admiral Danny Sullivan walked into the same chamber where Jake Morrison had stood 2 years earlier. But this time, everything was different. The alien representatives looked at him with eyes that held respect instead of contempt. Some even looked nervous. Danny wore a new uniform that had been designed specifically for this meeting. It included symbols from 12 different alien cultures, each one representing a species that humans had helped in some way. The Mindari peace symbol, the Zephyrian crystal of gratitude, the Korvac mark of honor. Admiral Sullivan, the Altruian assessor, began. His forearms were held in a position that Danny recognized as a sign of respect. Thank you for coming. We have called this emergency session to discuss recent developments concerning your species. Danny remained silent. He had learned that sometimes the most powerful thing to do was let others talk first. The Korvac general who had laughed at humans 2 years ago now looked uncomfortable. Admiral, we need to address what happened at Kepler Station. Danny knew the story well. Kepler Station was a mining operation run by civilians. When a Korvac battle fleet had surrounded it during a territorial dispute, everyone expected the humans to surrender immediately. The station had no weapons and was staffed by miners, engineers, and their families. Instead, the humans had turned the mining equipment into defensive weapons. They used rock crushers to launch asteroids at enemy ships. They modified industrial lasers into cutting beams. They even turned the station's artificial gravity generator into a weapon by creating gravity wells that trapped attacking fighters. For 6 days, 300 human civilians held off a fleet of 50 Korvac warships. They did not win, but they held out long enough for a diplomatic solution to be reached. The Korvac warriors who had planned to take the station in 1 hour instead spent nearly a week being embarrassed by people who were supposed to be farmers and mechanics. The tactics your people used were, the Korvac general paused, searching for words, unprecedented. A Zephyrian representative chimed in with crystal tones that translated to agreement. The cure that Dr. Amy Foster developed for our plague has saved millions of lives. Our best scientists had worked on this problem for 3 centuries. She solved it in 3 weeks. The peace negotiations between the Helix Consortium and the Void Traders added a Mindari voice directly in Danny's mind. Your diplomat Carl Henderson achieved in 2 months what we could not accomplish in 200 years. Danny finally spoke. Are you asking us to reconsider our classification? The chamber fell silent. Every species in the room had been thinking the same thing. Humans had already reclassified themselves through their actions. The question was whether the official system would catch up to reality. We propose elevation to Alpha Tier status, the Altruian said carefully. Danny smiled, and several aliens shifted uncomfortably at the expression. They had learned to be wary when humans smiled like that. I appreciate the offer, Danny said, but we will take Beta Tier instead. Confused sounds filled the chamber. The aliens had expected humans to jump at the chance for the highest classification. Instead, they were negotiating down. You see, Danny continued, we have been studying your classification system. Alpha Tier species are expected to maintain the status quo. They preserve order. They keep things running the way they have always been run. He paused to let his words sink in. But we are not interested in preserving your order. We are here to improve it. Alpha Tier species follow the rules. Beta Tier species get to write new ones. The Korvac general leaned forward. What do you mean? Danny activated a holographic projector he had brought with him. Images filled the air above their heads, showing human activities across the galaxy. In the past 2 years, humans have established trade routes that cut travel time by 40%. We have developed new manufacturing processes that use half the resources of traditional methods. We have created hybrid technologies that combine the best features from multiple species. More images appeared. Human-designed ships that were faster than Altruian vessels, stronger than Korvac dreadnoughts, and more efficient than Zephyrian craft. We have also been training mixed-species crews, Danny continued. Korvac warriors learning human tactics, Zephyrian engineers working with human designers, Mindari philosophers collaborating with human scientists. The images showed alien beings working alongside humans in ways that had never been seen before. Species that had barely spoken to each other for thousands of years were now sharing knowledge and building things together. The results speak for themselves, Danny said. Mixed crews are outperforming single-species teams in every category we have measured. An older Altruian who served as the Council's chief historian spoke up. Admiral Sullivan, what you are describing sounds like you want to change the entire structure of galactic civilization. Danny's smile grew wider. Now you are beginning to understand. He changed the holographic display to show a map of the galaxy. Different colored areas showed the territories controlled by various species. For millions of years, your system has been based on separation. Each species stays in their own territory, develops their own technology, follows their own traditions. You interact through trade and diplomacy, but you remain fundamentally separate. Danny highlighted several systems where humans had established bases or colonies. Humans are doing something different. We are not trying to carve out our own territory. We are trying to build connections. The map changed to show lines linking different star systems, human trade routes, diplomatic missions, joint research projects, and mixed colonies formed a web that crossed traditional boundaries. We believe that the galaxy's greatest strength lies not in its diversity, but in combining that diversity into something greater than the sum of its parts. The Mindari representative's mental voice carried a note of wonder. You are talking about integration on a scale that has never been attempted. Exactly, Danny said. And that is why we want Beta Tier status. Alpha Tier species are expected to be stable and predictable. They are the pillars that hold up the current system. But we want to be the architects of a new system. The Zephyrian made a sound like crystal bells ringing. This is why you refuse the highest classification? Because you prefer the freedom to be unpredictable? Freedom to innovate, Danny corrected. Freedom to experiment. Freedom to fail and try again. Alpha-tier species cannot afford to fail because too much depends on them. But beta-tier species can take risks. The Korvac general stood up slowly. His massive frame cast a shadow across the chamber. Admiral Sullivan, what you are proposing could destabilize everything we have built. Danny met his gaze calmly. General, with respect, what you have built is not working as well as it could. You have spent millions of years divided into separate groups, each one convinced that their way is the best way. You have missed countless opportunities to learn from each other. He gestured to the holographic display again. In just 2 years, human involvement has increased trade efficiency, reduced conflicts, and accelerated technological development across dozens of systems. Imagine what we could accomplish in 20 years, or 200. The chamber was quiet for several minutes as the alien representatives considered his words. Finally, the Altruian assessor spoke. You are asking us to bet the stability of galactic civilization on the idea that cooperation will work better than separation. I am asking you to look at the evidence, Danny replied. Everything humans have accomplished in the past 2 years has been through cooperation. The USS Defiance defeated a Korvac dreadnought by using Mindari navigation techniques and Zephyrian targeting systems. Dr. Amy Foster cured the crystal plague by combining human medical knowledge with Altruian biochemistry. Our diplomats succeed because they learn how each species thinks and finds common ground. Danny deactivated the holographic projector and looked around the chamber. 2 years ago, you classified us as Omega tier because we were weak individually. You were right. A human cannot match a Korvac in battle, or a Zephyrian in precision or a Mindari in wisdom. But you missed something important. He paused for emphasis. Humans do not try to be better than everyone else at everything. We try to bring out the best in everyone, including ourselves. The Altruian assessor exchanged looks with representatives from other species. Danny could see them having quick conversations in languages he did not understand. Finally, the assessor turned back to him. Very well, Admiral Sullivan. Humanity is hereby granted beta-tier status, with all the rights and responsibilities that entails. As Danny left the chamber, he heard the Korvac general mutter to another representative, I think we may have seriously underestimated what we were dealing with. Danny smiled to himself. They had no idea how right they were. The galaxy was about to learn that humans did not just want a place in the existing order. They wanted to build something entirely new. Captain Maria Santos stood on the bridge of the flagship UES Unity and watched the stars through the main view screen. 5 years had passed since the Galactic Council had first dismissed humans as Omega tier. Now she commanded the most advanced fleet in the galaxy. The Unity was beautiful in a way that no single species ship had ever been. Its hull combined Korvac durability with Zephyrian precision. The engines used Altruian energy technology improved by human engineering. The sensors were based on Mindari telepathic principles adapted for electronic systems. But what made the ship truly special was its crew. Humans worked alongside aliens from a dozen different species. They had trained together, learned from each other, and become something new. Not human, not alien, but a combination that was stronger than either could be alone. Captain, Commander Tony Blake called from his station. Tony was human, but his second-in-command was a young Korvac named Thrak who was learning human tactical methods. We are receiving multiple distress calls from the Outer Rim. Maria turned from the view screen. What kind of distress calls? Priority 1 emergency broadcast, Tony replied. Entire star systems are under attack. The main screen changed to show a tactical display of the galaxy's outer edge. Red warning symbols marked dozens of systems where the signals had originated. Who is attacking them? Maria asked. Tony's face was grim. The Devourers have returned. Maria felt her blood turn cold. Every species in the galaxy knew about the Devourers. They were an ancient enemy that had terrorized the galaxy for millions of years. The Devourers were not like other species. They did not build civilizations or create art or form governments. They existed only to consume. Devourer ships were living creatures the size of cities. They traveled from system to system, eating everything they found. Planets, moons, space stations, other ships. Nothing was too big or too small for their hunger. The last time the Devourers had attacked, it had taken the combined fleets of every alpha-tier species to drive them away. Even then, the victory had come at a terrible cost. Entire species had been wiped out. Billions had died. The survivors had thought the Devourers were gone forever. How long since the first reports reached the council? Maria asked. 18 hours, Captain, Tony replied. Maria looked at him in disbelief. 18 hours? What has the council done? Tony checked his console. They are still debating response protocols. The Alpha-tier species are holding emergency sessions to decide on a coordinated strategy. Maria stared at the tactical display. While the galaxy's most powerful species held meetings, the red warning symbols were spreading. More systems were falling to the Devourers every hour. Captain, Thrak spoke up from his station. His voice carried the gravelly tone of all Korvac. But it also had something that Maria had never heard from a Korvac before: uncertainty. My people's battle doctrine says we should wait for orders from the War Council. What does human doctrine say? Asked Zara, the Zephyrian communications officer. Her crystal body chimed softly as she spoke. Maria looked around the bridge at her crew. Humans and aliens working together, each bringing their own strengths to the team. Human doctrine is simple, Maria said. When people need help, you help them. You do not wait for permission. She activated the ship's communication system. All hands, this is the captain. Set condition read throughout the ship. All departments prepare for combat operations. Ma'am, Commander Blake said quietly. Should we not wait for authorization from Earth Command? Maria thought about Jake Morrison, the first human to stand before the Galactic Council. She thought about Alex Turner and his crew who had faced impossible odds to save the Mindari transport. She thought about every human who had been told they were too weak to matter and had proved everyone wrong. Commander, she said, since when do humans wait for permission to do what is right? She turned to address the entire bridge crew. All ships in the fleet prepare to jump to the outer rim. Maximum speed. Captain, Zara chimed from her station. I am receiving a message from Admiral Phillips on Earth. The Admiral's face appeared on a smaller screen. Kate Phillips looked older than she had 5 years ago, but her eyes still held the same determination that Maria remembered. Maria, the Admiral said, I assume you have heard about the Devourers? Yes, ma'am. We are preparing to respond. Admiral Phillips nodded. I thought you might be. The Council has asked Earth Command to wait for coordinated orders. Maria felt her jaw tighten. And what did you tell them? Phillips smiled. I told them that humans have never been very good at following orders when civilians are dying. The Admiral's expression became serious. Maria, you need to understand what you are facing. The last time the Devourers attacked, it took everything the galaxy had to stop them. You have 40 ships. They had 10,000. I understand, Admiral. Do you? Because I'm about to give you orders that go against everything the Council wants us to do. Maria waited. Take your fleet to the outer rim, Phillips said. Save as many people as you can. Do not try to fight the Devourers directly unless you have to. Your job is evacuation and rescue. What about the Council? Let me worry about the Council. You worry about doing what humans do best. The channel closed. Maria looked around her bridge at the mixed crew of humans and aliens who had chosen to serve together. You heard the Admiral, Maria said. We have our orders. All ships prepare for jump. What followed became known throughout the galaxy as the Devourer War. Though historians would argue, it was less a war than a lesson in how courage and innovation could overcome seemingly impossible odds. The human fleet did not try to match the Devourers' massive ships in direct combat. Instead, they used tactics that no species had ever tried before. While the Devourers focused on consuming planets and space stations, human ships rescued millions of civilians from doomed worlds. Captain Steve Parker used his ship's jump drive in ways that the manufacturers said were impossible, appearing inside Devourer formations to extract trapped refugees before disappearing again. Chief Engineer Nicole Adams developed a new type of weapon that used the Devourers' own biology against them. Instead of trying to destroy their massive ships, her quantum resonance charges disrupted the neural networks that controlled them. Marine Colonel Jerry Thompson led boarding parties onto Devourer vessels, fighting through organic corridors that shifted and changed around them to plant charges in critical systems. But the real breakthrough came when Dr. Amy Foster made a discovery that changed everything. The Devourers were not just mindless eating machines. They were a single vast organism that had been driven insane by millions of years of isolation in deep space. They are not evil, Amy reported to Maria during a brief rest between battles. They are sick. Their hive mind is fractured and confused. They eat everything because they do not remember how to do anything else. Maria stared at the report Amy had sent her. Are you saying we can cure them? I am saying we might be able to heal them. But it would require getting close enough to their central organism to inject a neural stabilizer. And that central organism is the size of a small moon. Maria looked at the tactical display showing the Devourer fleet. Thousands of living ships, each one capable of destroying entire planets. In the center, protected by all the others, was the creature that controlled them all. How close would we need to get? Physical contact, Amy said. Someone would need to actually touch the central organism's neural cortex. Maria was quiet for a long moment. Then she smiled the same smile that had made alien diplomats nervous for the past 5 years. Jerry, she called to Colonel Thompson, how do you feel about taking a very long walk? The final battle took place in a system that had already been stripped bare by the Devourers. Maria's fleet faced odds that would have made the galaxy's greatest military minds surrender without firing a shot. But humans did not fight the way the galaxy expected them to fight. While every other species would have tried to blast their way through the enemy fleet, the human ships worked together like parts of a single organism. Some ships drew the Devourers' attention with flashy attacks that did little real damage. Others used stealth technology borrowed from 6 different species to slip past the defenses. A few ships sacrificed themselves to create openings for the others. And in the center of it all, Colonel Thompson and a team of volunteers in specially modified armor made the longest and most dangerous spacewalk in galactic history. When Thompson finally reached the central organism and injected Amy's neural stabilizer, the change was immediate. Across the entire fleet, Devourer ships stopped their attacks and began to drift quietly through space. Central organism is stabilizing, Amy reported from the medical bay. Neural patterns are returning to normal baselines. On the main screen, Maria watched as the massive creature that had terrorized the galaxy for millions of years slowly began to change. The twisted, angry shape of its hull smoothed out into something that looked almost peaceful. Then, for the first time in recorded history, a Devourer ship sent a communication signal. We remember now, the voice said directly into the minds of everyone who heard it. We remember what we used to be before the hunger took us. Thank you for helping us remember. In the aftermath, as rescue ships from across the galaxy arrived to help with relief efforts, something unprecedented happened.